We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and we have a very special treat for all of you on this edition of the Sports Cubicle. You might have seen some of this artist's work pop off as you go through the socials, as the summer goes along, as the NBA Finals happen, as the NFL is about to kick off. We know baseball's trade season is around the corner. The Stanley Cup was just in the ocean. And to join us, showing us the artist behind some of that awesome work is, you can check out all the work at Emily Morgan Creates. It's the artist, it's the genius behind it herself. It's Emily Morgan. Emily, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good.
So you've popped, right? I think that's the way the youth say it. Like, you've had a lot of things hit the algorithm and it has got a lot of people's attention. Before we get into some of the designs and behind it, how was that like when you see, as an artist, a lot of your hard work, a lot of the time of your imagination and sitting there and things hitting the delete file and in the trash can, and to see something of your work kind of hit that stream? How was that like?
Oh yeah, it feels good. You know, when you kind of, I'm sure everyone feels this when they post something and it does like a lot better than maybe what you normally posted. And it's like, oh my gosh, all that hard work, it finally pays off. People are appreciating like the work you put into it and everything. It definitely feels good when other people like share my content or comment on it, even if it's like negative stuff too. I mean, that helps with the algorithm. So it took me a little bit of time to get used to that, but you know, yeah, it's super fun and I love seeing people's opinions and stuff because the sports world, you know, full of many opinions. So it took a lot of getting used to, but I love the community of it.
So was there any time where you were sitting there and thinking, like, when was the moment it was like, oh, I can make a career out of this? Was this always the passion that you wanted to do graphic design? Did you want to do animation? Were you into comic books? Did you want to do posters? What was it that kind of drove you into this direction?
Honestly, it was just kind of like a bunch of things built up to it. There was really no big aha moment. I would say like my whole life, I've definitely been a creative person, but I also like always used to want to work in sports. Since I was young, I used to want to do like well, growing up, I wanted to be like an Olympian. Found out that was a lot harder than it looks. And then I would want to do like sports broadcasting. I always wanted to be in the sports world, but I wasn't really sure how I would. I majored in advertising because I like that creative sense of just branding and stuff. And I had a normal like marketing job, and just on the side I started posting TikToks and videos of just normal graphic design. And it was the 2023 NFL playoffs, and I was like, and it was after the Chiefs won. I was like, oh, I should redesign their logo just because I love sports. Like, why not? Like, it could just be fun. And that one did a lot better than what I normally posted. And people were commenting, like, oh, do the Patriots do this? And I'm like, oh, people want to see this. So it was just kind of like, it just kind of happened. There was no like, okay, I'm going to start posting these and they're going to do good or bad. It just kind of happened. And a lot of trial and error for sure. What works, what doesn't work with like the algorithms, and different platforms want different things. But yeah, I always knew I wanted to be in sports, just wasn't sure how I would be in it, but I guess now I finally found my niche, I guess.
Oh, you definitely found one, because you got us talking. I mean, yeah, trust me, all us weekend warriors wish we were playing. We're in the Olympics this coming up weekend, right? I
Yeah.
promised my mom a gold Olympic, gold medal, damn it, and she didn't get it, but that's a different story.
Right.
So, Emily, let me ask you this: like, the this is a question that I get all the time, because I'm somebody who likes new school. I like teams that have alternate jerseys. I like seeing courts look
Yeah.
different. I think there is something to tradition, and I think there is
Yeah.
something to embracing, new and culture, and seeing how it moves forward and making sure everything looks vibrant and of the time, so that you
Yeah.
don't keep yourself locked into one
Yep.
specific pigeonhole.
Yep.
But with that being said, I think something like the Chicago Bulls logo, I think it's a very clean logo. It's also a
Yes.
cool logo. It's a very flexible logo. It's a logo that could go anywhere, color scheme that could go anywhere. But you
Yep.
found a way to, at the very least, make people be like, oh, okay. So like, if this team was made in 2023, That kind of would be a really cool way of the logo making it. So please, if you guys are on YouTube, make sure you're checking us out at the Sports Cubicle on YouTube, because we're checking out some of the amazing work that you can check out at Emily Morgan Creates. And Goats, we're not going to show it out. This is what the people say in the industry, a teaser, because you got to go actually to the source to check it out. But here for the viewers here and then the listeners, check it out. The redesign. I'm looking at just some of them, and this one, of course, was the one that hit the algorithm. And when you did that, what was it for you that you were able to, when you were making the shrug, for example? That's why you got to go check out the video. But taking the shrug and the basketball and putting, how important was it for you to embrace the new school, but also put your spin on what you would make this logo look like?
Yep. Yeah, I think it just depends on each logo. Like you said, the Bulls logo, I think many comments are like, they're one of the only logos, or if not the only logo, that hasn't changed yet. And so I didn't want to completely deviate from the original design, because many logos I do redesign, it has nothing to do with I hate the design. It's just putting a fun twist on it. Some I don't like, and I want to completely flush out what they have and do something different. But with the Bulls, I definitely wanted to keep, the shape and the aspect and kind of pretty much the same concept, the bull head and the horns. But then just adding in a little bit of fun. And I definitely spent probably about a week of just like brainstorming ideas on how I can incorporate Jordan. I mean, I had to. There's like I was not letting that get away from me. I'm like, I have to incorporate either like 23 or like the 6 rings, or I don't know, like the flu game, just all these things are running through my head. And I was like, there's also the shrug. And I was like, just thinking of different ways how I can get that shape to work in the bowl. And it takes a lot of trial and error. I wish it was as easy as my videos sometimes look. It is a lot of trial and error, but I finally got it. And I think a lot of people definitely resonated with that, because I mean, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. And I think many people like seeing those things incorporated with the logos. And I think it definitely just puts a fun challenge for me. It's one thing to just design a logo that looks great, but to be able to incorporate things that the fans and the city loves, I think it really helps with the viewers just appreciate it more and stuff like that.
What is like the ultimate compliment? Because I was thinking about this. One of our co-hosts and producers, Paul Chivari here, he's a huge Raiders fan. And literally right before I went on the air, he walked out of our studio and he said, I really love this Raiders logo. Like, I don't know if I would ever want it to be the logo, but I love this logo. And I'm like, is that like the ultimate compliments for an artist that is taking something that has literally decades and generations worth of love behind it, and for somebody to be like, yes, that's not bad.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely feels good when someone is, especially like iconic logos. I know when I did the Celtics logo or like the Red Wings logo, there's definitely a lot of like, hate is the wrong word, because I think people, like you said, they're just attached to the logo and they don't want anything different. But then when other people are like, hey, I'm a Celtics fan and like I really, really like love this logo and be cool to see it being used, and or other people are like, oh, this would be a great alternate logo, because I agree, like it is hard to change a team's identity, especially with some specific logos. But it does mean a lot to me when people are just open-minded, because I'm sure the internet is not, people are just so quick to shut ideas down. But when people genuinely take the time to like say like, I really appreciate me just even doing it really does mean a lot. Or if people just give me like good feedback, it helps, because then I know for the next logo to avoid the mistake I made and stuff like that. So I overall appreciate people that generally take the time to give like positive feedback or like a nice comment and stuff.
Emily, I have no idea what you're speaking of about the internet. I will not handle this slander. We all know that the internet is only where the proper discourse happens, only intelligent conversations happen. There is absolutely no putrid, acidic stuff that happens in the wasteland that is social media or the internet. Absolutely not. I don't know what you're talking about. Awesome Voice is behind the great work. She is a graphic designer, an artist, a creator, everything whenever it comes to a creative mind. It's Emily Morgan. Check out all the work at Emily Morgan Creates. She's joining us here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, on WCPT 820 AM, Heartland, Signo, and Sports from the Couch. And Emily, there's one thing. We're going to talk some sports in a little bit, but I want to highlight one more thing, and that is this awesome trend that you were doing when it comes to, everybody knows NCAA football is out on all major systems, and your boy here has put in a lot of hours, a lot of losses. It is the demon souls. It is the dead souls. It is all that stuff. It is the Elden Ring of sports games where you can't beat it on Heisman mode. So you have found the awesome little lane right now of taking holiday bowls, bowl games, bowl season, and turning them into jerseys. Where did this idea come from? How much fun has this been? What was it? The Mayo Bowl was one that we just saw. I'm looking at the most recent one. It was what was it? Holiday Bowl?
I think that was the Holiday Bowl.
The Holiday Bowl. Yeah. So how was that all like? Tell me about it, because it was awesome.
So actually, the people from Bowl Seasons who runs all the bowls reached out to me with this idea. They said that they wanted to collaborate with me, and I don't know if we're doing all 44 bowls. It just depends on if each responds, or some have really strict branding rules and stuff like that. But the goal is to get as many bowl designs, uniform designs out before bowl seasons happens, especially when December rolls around and stuff like that. We want to get them all out. And so, they reached out to me with that opportunity to design the jerseys, and we're kind of maybe in talks with actually creating them, like physically, like making them like for people to wear and stuff. We're kind of testing the waters with that. But so when they reached out to me, I was really excited because it's the college football bowl. It's like, I think that is so cool. And there's some bowls that are definitely coming up that I'm really excited for, like the Pop-Tart Bowl. I know that one's my highest requested one. I'm so excited to do it, but it's like you guys got to wait a little bit. I can't just roll out all the big bowls right away, I know I have the Gator Bowl coming out next week, and I've been working on also the University of Florida logo redesign. I'd kind of like to get those posted near each other. I think that'd be fun. But it's been super fun. And uniform design is so different than logo. It's a lot more freedom in some aspects, but also a lot more, it's just so different. So it's been a learning experience as well. And it's just been really cool to like see it physically on the uniforms.
Do you ever think about correlating this into any type of merchandise when it comes to a personal brand? Here behind the fourth wall, I have a children's book that's releasing next week, and I had to jump in and create I have awesome family artists and all that, and you just create the brand, and then all of a sudden the book becomes merchandise, and merchandise becomes X, Y, or Z. How much of that has been for you to kind of put this and try to build different avenues for it? Is that the end game as a sports fan, as a artist, as a graphic designer, to put it all together?
It definitely has been on my mind. I wish I could like clone myself to do it, because I feel like sometimes I have so much workload, but then other days I'm like kind of not doing anything. So I've definitely had some ideas for like merchandise design. I'd love to do like just even like silly things, like funny like sports quotes. Like I'm a big Charles Barkley fan, and I love all of his quotes, and I think it'd be fun to like be able to put them like on t-shirts, but I don't know like all like legal rules. I don't know if that's like stealing or something, but like I don't know. I that's where I gotta do like research on like merchandise and stuff like that. But I would just love to eventually design some type of sports merchandise, whether it's funny things or cool things. I've been thinking about, like, I'm a big fan of Caitlin Clark. I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool to like make a t-shirt kind of like with inspiration to her and stuff like that. But I just sometimes I have so many ideas, but I physically like can't get it all done, and then I'll forget about it at some point, and it's definitely going to come soon. I think I just kind of got to hit the right timing, I think.
Well, you are definitely hitting the right time. You're hitting the vein of the sports fan, as all your work is getting some awesome conversation going from the haters, from the supporters, and from everybody in between. And I think that's what's important, because you're creating discourse, and your creation is getting people talking. You could take, speaking of creations. You can check it out at Emily Morgan Creates. And Emily Morgan's our guest here on the Sports Cubicle. And Emily, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of sports talk. Let's do this. So let's start with the Bulls. You did a redesign of their logo. DeMar's gone and Caruso's gone and nobody wants Zach, but Zach's got to be gone and Vucevic needs to be gone. And there's a lot of conversation about this team. What are your thoughts about the basketball team that residents in the United Center, the west side of Chicago?
Honestly, in like simplest terms, I feel like I have no idea. I feel like I always want to have a positive outlook and like look into things with like a glass half full type of aspect, but like sometimes you just never know on how things will pan out. And I haven't really been thinking about it too much. And I think it's just because like I don't want things to like backfire or anything. So I don't know. I like simply will just put it like that. Like I'm just gonna like hold my breath, I think, and just see how this season works out and everything like that, and just hope for the best.
Yeah, and for the best, we know is please get into the top 4 and get a stud in the draft and move forward.
No,
and,
right, yeah,
and like blow up the whole thing, and please, no more apathy. That'd be great. What about the team in the lakefront? They got a new quarterback, Caleb Williams. The hype, I'm in on him. We had Eric Kramer, former Chicago Bear, on this past week. He's all in on him. We have friends that are working at Highlight Solid beat reporters, all in on him. Emily Morgan, where are you? Now number 18, the Heisman winner from SoCal, Caleb Williams.
I'm definitely all in on him. I followed a bunch of Bears things on Twitter. I like what I see for sure. And I think kind of similar comment though with the Bears. Like I think we all got really excited for Justin Fields and maybe like a little too excited. Obviously, I think there's other issues more than just Fields itself. I'm definitely not blaming 100% him. But with Caleb Williams, like kind of again, I'm just gonna watch. And I'm obviously hoping that it's gonna be exactly how people are saying, because I think there's gonna be some great commotion in Chicago this year, especially with some of the trades we had. Like I'm very excited on the inside, but on the outside, I'm just gonna stay calm, keep my mouth shut a little bit. I don't know if you know this, but I live in Wisconsin, so I'm surrounded by Packers. So I kind of gotta keep it a little to myself, or else I'll get a lot of hate, especially as the past couple of seasons them beating us. It's definitely been humbling, but I think this year will be very successful, and I'm really excited to just have like a young quarterback with a lot of confidence. I think it's really refreshing to see that. And yeah, I think it looks like he's connecting great with all the players and stuff. So I'm very excited, but staying quiet for now.
Emily, blink twice rapidly if you need us to send Bravo team to save you. We will be there immediately.
Yeah.
Emily Morgan joins us for just a little bit longer here on the Sports Cubicle. And Cubs or Sox?
Cubs. I'm from north suburbs, so Cubs all the way. I'm not a Sox hater though. I just will always be Cubs.
So what do you think? I mean, it's been rough this season. I'm a Cub fan, and we a lot of expectations. Speaking of Milwaukee, you get Craig Counsell to come from the Brewers down to the Cubs to manage them, and this is a team that's doing the same thing they did with David Ross, if not worse. The offense is broken. It's still a good time at Wrigley, but it's a frustrating time watching the team on the field. Your thoughts on what's going on with the Northsiders?
Yeah, I think like we had that like hot streak for a second, and you have a lot of hope, but it's really bizarre. Like you said, the offense seems a little broken. And I actually recently went to a Brewers Cubs game up here in Milwaukee, and even sometimes the defense, it just looks not fully connected. Like in a way, like there was some weird errors like happening, and I'm just like, this just looks like not like the Cubs anymore. And so I don't know if maybe just having new management, it takes a second for everyone to get settled in. And I mean, we have great players, so I don't think it's like a skill set. It just seems like a big connection break is like the Cubs issue. And I mean, that's something that's definitely easy to fix. But yeah, it's definitely been tough seeing them kind of lose games that you think they should definitely have won. Like it's like, again, it's not that they're playing terrible. It's just like things just like aren't clicking, and just breaking down. And I just really hope it turns around for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you blow what 18, I think it was 18 games, and you can't score runs, and
Yeah.
like you said, they're supposed to be a good defensive team, and they play defense horribly and just within the
Yeah.
margins. And it's been a rough season for us Cubby
Yeah.
fans. But the real question is, will they spend money next off season? And if
Yeah.
so, maybe that'll fix some things. Emily, what else in the sports world has you interested before we wrap things up? Is there anything? Are you somebody who loves the Olympics? Are you looking forward to the NFL season? What
Yep.
is something that is kind of going to
Mhm.
take up your bandwidth, your fan with when it comes to sports?
Yep. Definitely Olympics. Been big Olympics fan since I was a kid. The two sports I will definitely be watching is soccer because I played soccer. Growing up, I will be watching the women's, not I'll watch the men's here and there, but men's soccer, it makes me want to like rip my hair out just how much they flop. It is frustrating to say the least. I can't it's like I can't even watch, but I'll be watching definitely women's soccer. I love gymnastics. I always wanted to do gymnastics growing up, and my mom wouldn't let me because they get injured so much. So definitely be watching Simone Biles. And then yeah, I'm very excited for the NFL season. I've been taking just a tiny, tiny break on the NFL logos just because we're not in season and stuff like that. But once that comes back up, I want to get my Bears logo redesign out. But since they're like my favorite team ever, I'm taking my sweet time with it. I don't want to rush it because I want it to do well. But I'm super excited for the NFL Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays. It's all I do pretty much is watch football. So I can't wait. I can't come any faster. And I know preseason's very soon, so just holding my breath with that.
Next Thursday, it'll
Yeah.
be Texans Bears in the Hall of Fame game. And,
Yep.
some local connections. Obviously, you brought up the USA women's soccer, Mallory
Yep.
Swanson,
Yep.
Dansby's wife,
Yep.
and she's an Olympic gold medalist. She is the
Yep.
bomb. And of course, the GOAT, Simone Biles, her husband, a former Packer,
Yep.
now Chicago Bear,
Mhm.
Jonathan Owens. And he'll be a
Yep.
subject of a few episodes here as Hard Knocks will definitely be watching his wife dominates, and that
Oh
should be
my
a lot of
gosh,
fun.
yeah.
And Emily, we're gonna have you on during the football season.
Mhm.
You breathe, eat,
Mhm.
sleep, obsessed. It's right in your veins. NFL football, and I'm assuming NBA basketball. So the
Yeah.
wintertime, we have to have you on the show to break down what we're hoping is at least 10 wins for the Chicago Bears here locally. And
I
everything
know.
happens.
Please.
Yeah. Emily,
I'm praying.
last question. What's your favorite thing that you worked out so far that has been released? That people go and check out.
Oh gosh, I change my mind every day about it. Like, let me think. I mean, I would say recently maybe the Bulls one, but besides that one, because that was my latest post. Oh my gosh, I don't even know anymore sometimes. I liked my Indiana Fever logo. Just again, I'm kind of biased because I love Caitlin Clark, and so I loved that. And I think I've noticed I really like just my basketball logos. I think basketball is like the fun. It's more of a fun style. It's kind of more of like a badge and stuff. So I think a majority of my basketball ones are my favorite. But yeah, I think Bulls and maybe the Indiana Fever one.
All right, here's the last sports one. All right, this is it. I promise everybody, okay? Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about these two rookies storming the league in a league that has some awesome superstars right now? I mean, we know
Yeah.
what's going on with the Liberty, and obviously,
Yep.
Diana Taurasi is the GOAT, and the Vegas with Asia Wilson and with Kelsey Plum, and like we know how dominant they are. But here locally for you, a huge fan of Caitlin Clark and a Chicago girl like you watching
Yep.
Angel Reese
Yeah.
here. These two just taking off your thoughts on what has been awesome for the game of basketball between these two
Yeah.
stars.
Absolutely, absolutely love it. I love seeing just so much like conversations happening around it. I know there's definitely negative sides to it and people are kind of getting upset about it, but I think people need to realize this is what majority of men's sports have been dealing with for years. All of the haters, all of the people just knocking other athletes because people are passionate. And so I think obviously having healthy disagreements is great for the WNBA because it shows people care and they've been looking for this for years. And Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have brought that conversation. They have brought people wanting to watch and wanting to root for these teams and these players. So I think it is absolutely like amazing. I wanted to go to the Indiana Fever game versus Chicago Sky in Chicago, but the tickets are like $300. And I'm like, I'm not dropping that right now. Maybe next year I'll save up for one, but I loved watching them in the All-Star game, and it's really fun seeing them do really well. Like they said, many people were doubting these rookies, but now they are doing, I think, a lot better than people that have been in the league for years. And they showed a lot of energy and grit, especially in that All-Star USA game. That was crazy. That was insane to watch. And it shows how hungry they are. And I'm really excited to see where it all goes. And I watch all their games, and I'll say this, like I never watched the WNBA before this. So that goes to show how much they've changed the entire conversation and the viewership and stuff. So it's just super exciting, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And hopefully it only goes up from here, and it's not short-lived. I'm really hoping it's not short-lived.
I don't think so. And
Mhm.
the grounds that have been set by like Maya Moore and Candace Parker and Sue Bird and Diana
Yeah.
Taurasi, the game is strong and it is awesome. And
Mhm.
you are awesome, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Sports Cubicle. Check out all her work. It's at Emily Morgan Creates. She does some awesome stuff. She's created some awesome stuff, and she has some amazing stuff down the
Mhm.
pipeline, friends. So make sure you're following us. Emily, this has been great. We can't wait to have you back on. And hopefully when we do, it is to celebrate Chicago Bears and all the success you are having from your work. Emily, thank you so much for joining us here on the Sports Cubicle.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
We got a lot left here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.